I'm going to make Sri Lankan fish patties. Oh, it's a deep fried pastry with fish and potato inside. And for this recipe I am using 250 grams of plain flour or 2 cups full plain flour. Then I have 115 grams of butter, and I am using 60 milliliters of chilled water. So that's for the pastry. For the filling I am using 1 can of mackerel. Then I have 2 potatoes, I mashed it, salt, onions, chilies, curry leaves finely chopped. You can use any kind of a herb for this. And then the curry powder, chili powder and some pepper. To start this, I am going to do the pastry first and leave it in the fridge. Meanwhile, I am going to do the mix. Into the mixing bowl, I am going to add the chilled butter. This is chilled. If you use the melted butter, the pastry won't work properly. And some people, they used to use a little bit of baking powder with a little bit of lime juice in this recipe, but I'm going to do just the short crust pastry and butter, and then I am using a little bit of water and going to knead this about 10 minutes until the paste becomes a very smooth dough. While kneading the dough, I am going to do the mix now. I added some oil into the pan and going to add the onions, then the chilies and the curry leaves, and I am going to fry this on a low heat about 2 minutes until the onions get softened. The onions are well cooked, so I am going to add the spices and some salt, then the fish, and again cook this about 1 minute. After a minute, I am going to add the potatoes and mix the potatoes and cook this again about 1 minute and leave this to cool down a bit to do the pastry. The pastry is ready, so I'm going to take it out. It has to be like this. So I'm going to leave it in the fridge about 30 minutes before I work on the pastry. I would cut the dough into two rounds. So I am going to do the pastry now. This was in the fridge about 30 minutes. Roll it to a nice thin pastry. After doing the pastry, cut it using a round circle like this. Even you can use a glass or some kind of a cutter. Then take it to your hand and put a spoonful of mixture onto the middle of the pastry and slowly press it down like this. And to finish it off, use a fork, or you can use the pastry cutters for this too. Use a fork and nicely press it down like this, and do all the pasties like this. From the dough, I made 34 pasties, little pasties like this, and I'm going to deep fry them now. To deep fry the pasties, I put some oil into the pan, and now I'm going to add the little pasties in it. And as I said, some they add a little bit of lime juice in this recipe. Then what happens, the bubbles come up on top of the pasty, and even when you add a little bit of baking powder, the color keeps on nicer. There are different methods of doing the pastry, but this really works. I finished frying the pasties, and I hope you will enjoy this recipe too. Thank you for watching.